By now you would have all chosen an object. I'm going to be using this shoe. It used to be a sparkling new shoe. It is now a bit of quite an old soiled shoe, but it has meaning for me because it used to belong to my sister and I think it has an interesting history. So before you start with the actual exercise, it's important to connect to the shoe. In other words, we're going to be doing something that's called a cognitive shift. And that means shifting from our analytical left brain to our imaginary right brain. There are a series of questions that are provided by the Overberg Education Department that will help you to connect to the shoe. I don't have time to go into all of them now, but they are kinds of questions that lead to the imagining where the shoe actually came from, what its source is, what it's made of, what its origin is, and what it took to create this shoe, and who was involved. And if you go through these kinds of questions slowly, you really start to connect on a heart level to your object. So that's the first activity, is to connect to your object in that way. The first lesson is about shape. It is incredibly simple. But it's also about how to recreate the shape using shading to create a flat silhouette like a shadow against a wall. So the idea is to put the shoe in a position that you particularly like or find pleasing, and you're then going to recreate this shape, imagining that it is a shadow. So the learner will basically start to do things like imagine the line as, or the outside as, this line is going slightly upwards, this line is curving downwards to my eye, this is making a curve, here it's swirling around. And so you start to look a little bit abstractly at the shoe. In terms of drawing the shoe, you're going to be taking your pencil, and I'm going to suggest that you start by holding the pencil in the shading position. I'd like to encourage everybody to start in the middle of the object and to start by shading in the object, moving further and further to the outside in as even way as possible, and you're going to be building up layers. So once you've started on the edge of your pencil, you can then take the drawing position and you can go over it layer by layer. It's a wonderful meditation and exercise in patience, but slowly, slowly, by going in different directions, you're going to be building up the layers. You can go backwards and forwards, however is comfortable for you. And eventually you're going to be recreating a shape that looks like a flat shadow or silhouette. And so the eye just went over and over and over. So I could make it even flatter if I had more time, or smoother, should I say. But here I've created a shape. So it's on a two-dimensional surface, and it's representing this shoe in one particular way. And that is your first lesson. So very simple, takes some patience, but really a good one in learning how to look at the shape of an object through your senses as it emerges. Keeping in mind that this shape is actually, we're looking at about 80% of the paper from that side to that side. In other words, it must fill the paper as much as possible. We want to avoid doing tiny little things in the center of the paper. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to get stuck into this gentle meditative experience, and I will see you in the next lesson.